Greetings everyone and welcome back to another episode of World of Warships with the Highfound, and today we are going to be looking at least my top picks for the upcoming 1v1 ranked. 1v1 ranked seasons, there's going to be 5, it's going to run from tier 3 all the way through to tier 7. So we're going to have a look at the ships. I don't know, depending on how long it takes, we might do it tier by tier, or we might do like tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, and then have another video for tier 7. It just depends on how long it takes me to get through these. Basically, it's taken me absolutely ages going through them, compiling the list, thinking about what they could potentially be coming up against. And that's something that you must take into account when I'm going through my picks. I'm not just going, well, you know, I'm picking, you know, this ship just because it's the best DD. Some ships are extremely good in game against multiple ships, but when you're taking a 1v1 scenario and you've got to take that into account, you're thinking, right, what battleship is best against a destroyer? None really. But where you might have a super strong ship that's good against cruisers and other battleships, they could be so insanely weak against destroyers that I've just discounted them. Same goes for cruisers that are really good against other cruisers. So for example, the Fiji is not going to be on my list purely because if it comes up against a BB, it's dead. It can't handle a BB in a one-on-one situation, because almost every single BB at tier 6 can blow straight through its bow. So take that into account, and obviously if you feel like there's any wild cards I've missed, do drop a comment below, and also comment what ship you think is going to be the best per tier. So we're going to dive right in at tier 3 because I'm assuming that's where we're going to start. So first of all, we're going to take a quick look at, let's just look at the battleships first of all. Right, okay, so Arkansas and Wyoming, very good choice. I believe they both have sub 11 second rudder shifts for torp dodging, and they have 20% torpedo, 20% torpedo reduction, and 18 seconds rudder shift for the Arkansas FE. Ouch. Let's have a look at the Wyoming. So 13.3 seconds for the Wyoming, but it's still got the 23% torpedo reduction. So I'd pick the Wyoming over the Arkansas purely because it's just more maneuverable. Obviously, the Arkansas is very good against other battleships, which would, you know, I'd probably pick that if I knew I was fighting other battleships. But having the much faster rudder on the Wyoming to dodge torpedoes, just makes the Wyoming a better choice. It's just scratchy. Torpedo reduction 4%, so if you come up against DDs, you're screwed. Concealment 13 second rudder shift, so over the Wyoming, it's just not an option really. The unpronounceable Bellathon, so 20% torpedo damage reduction, makes it reasonably good against DDs. A lot of guns, obviously the Bellathon, it's not just the firing range and the reload that you've got to take into account. It obviously has guns both sides at the front, so that does give you some more firing options. 10.6 rudder shift, making it easier to dodge torpedoes. I believe that's the best we've seen so far, so I'm definitely going to put the Bellathon up there. And 11.1 detectability, it's also quite sneaky. So far Wyoming and Bellathon are the only contenders. I have pretty much every single ship in the game, so I'm going to try and cover as many as I can. So the Orion does have 20% torpedo reduction, maneuverability 13.2, which is decent, but it's not quite as as agile as the Bellathon. I'd definitely pick the Bellathon first, but if you don't have it, the Orion is a good shout. Kaiser I think is going to be absolute trash. So it does have 22% damage reduction, but a 24-second rudder shift time. Obviously, you can adjust these. These are based off my commanders. I'm not going to go through every single commander, trying to optimize every single ship, because in general, I pick pretty good all-around builds. So, although the Kaiser is very tanky against BBs, against DDs and cruisers that have the ability to stealth torp, or to torp in general, it's not a good pick. Nassau, if you were lucky enough to pick up this baby, so 13% torpedo damage reduction. So against DDs, not so great. It does have amazing artillery and secondary, which can help a lot, particularly with a lot of the tier 3 DDs having quite short range torpedoes. Best rudder shift, I believe, at the tier at 9.6 and 11.5 detectability range. It's very good all round. So I would definitely put the Nassau in there, although it is weak against DDs. Colbert has pretty bad torpedo reduction, reasonable maneuverability, but its detectability is outdone by the British. Its torpedo reduction is outdone by the British. Its artillery is pretty much outdone by everyone. So the Colbert is definitely not going to be something that I would pick. Have a quick look at the Ganga. 17% torpedo reductions. Torpedo reductions about average. It does have a long reload time at 36 seconds. AA defense isn't really going to matter. Fairly quick in the turn, so that's good against DDs, and a reasonable concealment. So I think my picks are going to be, if I'm going to play a battleship, you're either going to want to look at the Wyoming, the Bellefonte, the Nassau, the Ganga. Basically ignore everything else. Cruiser-wise, cruiser picks are tier 3 are kind of easy. There's not really a lot to choose from. If you got the Founders Edition, or you were lucky enough to be playing long enough to be gifted the Iwaki or the Iwaki FE, 100% smart choice. Why is this a smart choice? Why? Okay, well that's fairly easy. If we go to the stats, we've got pretty fast firing guns. 10-kilometer torpedoes. Our concealment is 9.4, so we can stealth fire torpedoes at battleships, and you know we can sit that and do that all day. 76-second reload. It also has smoke, so if you get a bit too close to a battleship, you can use that to get away, and it's also got sonar to counter DDs. Okay, Phoenix can counter DDs, but its torps are short range. You can't do anything against battleships. Kuma, I believe, is another reasonable choice, although it does have shorter range torpedoes, so it is, but it's slightly sneakier. So it's much harder to deal with battleships in Akuma than the Iwaki. The Iwaki definitely takes the win out of them. Yubaru, did I bother with the Yubaru? I don't even think I looked at this, purely because its guns are so small and it has short range torpedoes. So Yubaru's really not a pick. Danny made of paper. If you come up against any battleship, or a Dugay Truon, which is going to be my next pick, really. Yeah, Danae's no good. Karlsruhe. Let's have a look. Torpedoes, 6-kilometer torpedoes. They're fairly maneuverable, but it's got better guns than the Iwaki. But that's it in every other aspect. The Iwaki is better, so I would go for the Iwaki. We know from previous seasons of ranked battles and arenas, the Dugay Truon is an absolute beast of a ship. It's probably got the best guns on any cruiser at tier 3. It's got pretty reasonable 6.5 kilometer torpedoes to deal with battleships. It's quite maneuverable. It's got reasonably low detection, and it's got sonar. All cruisers pretty much have sonar at this tier to counter them. Svetlana, that has nothing that's in any aspect better than any of the others. Good all-round cruiser, but nothing stand out. The Cassano doesn't even have sonar to help you counter DDs. Although I can't remember off the top of my head how good its torpedoes are. 8 kilometer torpedoes are reasonable, but they are very, very slow. So we're basically just going to ignore that. Right, so let's move on to the DDs. So Clemson. Think, oh, Americans, gunboats. Nah. Artillery 11. Artillery is terrible. Torps are very short range. Concealment's not great, so you'll struggle to even stealth torp in this thing. Clemson is absolute trash at tier 3. Do not pick the Clemson. If you pick the Clemson, you deserve to die. Izakazi is artillery is barely weaker than the Clemson, but the Izakazi does have 7 kilometer 61 knot torps, and you can get it down to, you can probably get it down a bit lower than what I've got, but 4.4 detectability range. Izakazi is going to be very good against cruisers. It's going to be very good against battleships. It's going to be kind of meh against the DDs. Wakeful, this thing surprised me when I was checking through the stats. So Izakazi is a pick. Artillery 26 420mm guns, good firing range, good reload, good strong hitting artillery, probably the best artillery in the tier. So best against other DDs. You've got reasonable 6 kilometer torps. Okay, they're probably not great when you've got a 0.9 kilometer window to fire them if your commander's built up as much as me. They are very maneuverable, and of course it does have the oh shit I've made a mistake smokes, which you get 8 of. So they're rapid dispersion and quick reloading time, which gives you a lot of options to sort of try and get in close to, for example, a battleship, and make sure you torp them and get away from them. If you get spotted, you get a bit too close to a cruiser, you can always fire up your smoke and use that to escape and wait 40 seconds and come back and have another crack. So Wakeful and Izakazi are definitely two strong picks. G101, I don't think there's much to really say about the G101. So it's got good hit points, it's got reasonable artillery. The torps are slightly longer range, but slower than the Wakeful, and it's fairly sneaky. I'm not going to bother covering all of them, because otherwise this video is going to take about a year to go through all of the tiers. So Burlesque is probably my next pick. So really good artillery, very good against DDs. 61 knots, 7.5 kilometer torpedoes. So torpedoes are very good. It's very fast. It's probably the fastest DD at the tier. And detectability is 5.3. But it does have a speed boost. And what happens when you got speed boost? Sorry, I've just realised I've got the wrong commander on you. When you've got speed boost, wait, I got the go all out. That's the one. That's the skill. Reduce your detectability by 20%. So you can take another kilometer, just over a kilometer off its detectability range. So whilst your speed boost is running, your concealment is going to be, you know, 4.1, 4.2, somewhere around there. It's disgusting. It's going to be the sneakiest, which is going to give you an advantage against all the cruisers. Going to give you an advantage against all the battleships. The only problem is, obviously, it's a reasonable advantage against DDs, but with its artillery not being the greatest, it does give you the. It will give you the I know exactly where you are situation earlier, I guess. So all round, I think the Burlesque is actually going to be the strongest pick out of them all. Right, okay, so this is 15 minutes long already. So what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to end this video here, and then without all the jib jabber beforehand, when we go through tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, tier 7, etc., they'll be a little bit shorter. But yeah, so overall, my thoughts: best ships. Those are the best. Those are the only ones you want to use. S1s, tier 3, by far the best in the class for all ships is going to be the Burlesque. I'd probably pick the Awaki next, and then the Decay Truon. Battleships are really going to suffer in 1v1 scenarios if you come up against a well set up cruiser or DD. So the battleships are going to have a really shoddy time. So do take that in mind as you queue up that first season of Ranked. So I do hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you think I've got anything wrong, think I've let any ships slip through the net, because I don't play a lot of tier 3 maybe, then do drop a comment, and we'll see you in the next video.